Welcome to my Inktober sketchbook tour. Woo! I'm back, you're back. Let's get into it. And yes, I do understand that this is coming up after October has ended. But in my household, spooky season never ends. So if you're like me, or you're just curious on how my Inktober went, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And I am very excited to show my process and explain what all went down. I did end up completing it, luckily. I did stumble on the last 3 days and did the last 3 days all in one sitting to finish it out. But, hey, I still got it done, still completed, so it's all good. Alrighty, let's get into it. Starting off with day 1. And if you were watching my shorts, you would have already seen this drawing. Day 1 was mustache. And these sticky notes, if you watched my get ready video with me, my plan was to be able to move these and move the pages if they bled through. But you'll see that wasn't the best plan, and it didn't exactly go to plan. But day 1, mustache. I don't often do mustaches on most of my characters. Primarily, I don't really draw a lot of male characters in general, so mustaches and facial hair I need a lot more practice with. But I did dig out an old D&D character for this prompt called Graphite. They are a dwarf bard who breakdances, and they have little metal bits on their gloves that spark as they hit the ground. It's essentially a D&D version of wrist braces. They also have knee pads and metal bits in their shoes to give it a little extra flair and pizzazz whenever they're breakdancing. The highlight of this piece really was the absolute goat of my Inktober process was the clearance highlighters. And every time I say clearance, it sounds like I'm saying Clarence. Clearance highlighters, as in got them for very cheap. And yet, as you can see on the skin tone, there's still a decent amount of blending going on, which was absolutely insane and a very pleasant surprise when I started doing the art with the highlighters more consistently. Moving on, day 2 was weave with my little bunny. Poor little thing's just trying to patch himself up. The cross-hatching with the pen really gives it a nice worn feeling. You can, as we go through, you can tell which days I had a little bit more time to work on my pieces and which days I had to do something rather quick and rather fun. But it has been a very good thing to see my progress from the last time I did Inktober over 2 years ago at this point. Even my simplest, in quotes, prompts and simplest drawings have significant improvement, which was actually really cool to see. Moving on to day 3, crown. And this is where things start going downhill. I will put up a image of what this guy looked like before the chaos had ensued. It actually was a really good piece, and I was rather proud of the speed in which I did this, and I understand that the skull is not anatomically correct, but for just a simple ink drawing with just one of my big pens, I was able to get a lot of good values and shading with this piece, and I do like the monochromatic look. And he's just a little guy. He has a name. I ended up giving him a name on Cara, and I'm going to have to look it up, but him and his best friend are very excited. Moving on to day 4, we have murky. And this is what I mean when the sticky note method actually did not help me, because I didn't fully conceptualize an issue I'd run into, which was that I was doing everything linearly and did not know what my drawing of the day was going to be until I sat down and actually started and actually looked at the prompt. So when I run into a day 4, it was already on the back of this piece, and I didn't realize until much later when I actually started getting into the nitty-gritty that it was going to bleed through onto the page before it. So it would have worked if I was doing all of my insane and crazy prompts the day after something, because then I could move on. But it turns out every time I had a page that bled through, it's because I was doing it on the back of a piece that I already was doing. So something to keep in mind for next year. Murky actually was a really fun concept because I had my black India ink that I diluted, but instead of diluting it with water, I diluted it with isopropyl alcohol, which made it dry incredibly fast, which is how I was able to get these really fun blotchy clouds up here in the sky, because it would dry so fast, it would do that ring and it wouldn't bleed through as I continued to add more pigment. Unlike the purple down here, that would bleed through and combine with a lot of stuff. Something that I should have kept in mind was that when I did my sketches with my green ink, that alcohol was able to pick it up and smear it across the page, which is unfortunate. It also picked up the inking of the boat, but it is a paper boat on a tumultuous ocean, so it would be a little soggy at this point. And one of my biggest fears is something in deep murky water that I can't see, but I can feel. So this piece really hit home for me in the spooky factor. Day 5 was deer. And I live in an area where deer are everywhere. And unless it is hunting season, you will guarantee see at least one deer on the side of the road. And I have to drive at night a lot, so I usually end up seeing like 4 or 5 in a herd in the headlights, which is what I really wanted to convey with this piece, was coming up right up on a deer and not realizing what it was until you're right up on it, and the little eye twinkle of it shining back in to the headlights often gives deer a more spooky vibe and a more eldritch horror vibe. And as someone who has on numerous occasions just barely missed a deer, I swear sometimes they are plotting. A really fun piece. I know my deer anatomy could use some work. Most of my animal anatomy could use some work. So something to keep in mind moving on into the future. So this next piece has a little bit of gore. So for those who are uncomfortable with that, you can skip forward after this piece, but just be aware that there is a little bit of blood and gore in this next one. Day 6, pierce. So this was a really fun piece to go back to. I used to draw anatomically correct hearts a lot when I was in high school. So it was really fun to get back into my roots and, see how much I've improved in drawing hearts. I have not so much improved in drawing weaponry and daggers, since I completely forgot what the prompt was going to be and completely forgot what I was doing for the prompt. So I made the heart way too big and ran out of space to actually put the knife that is piercing the heart. But I did enjoy the use of both the highlighters and the pen ink to add some shading and depth with the cross hatching. I overall really enjoy how this piece turned out. Next one, just be aware, has some tryptophobia warning. The issue with a bunch of little dots, just if you don't want to see that, look away. I can let you know when to look back. Day 7 was starfish, ? So This is obviously one of the days where I didn't have as much time to work on it as I would have liked. And let me tell you, drawing all of these little eyes killed my wrist. I had a whole lot of pain after doing this piece. And if I had given it a little bit more thought, I probably would have placed the eyes a little bit better, or made the star a little bit more even, or gave a little bit more detail and attention to the little border that I gave it. But overall, not the worst, but certainly not the best. Day 8 was Reckless, and I loved doing this piece. Just the pose and the movement of the hair. It was so much fun. And if you watched the short, you would have noticed that I had a little bit of an incident with a big old splatter drop of black ink because I was using my partner's dip pen. So, and I hadn't gotten used to how much it holds and carries, and I forgot to kind of shake it off into the jar. So I ended up with a big old blot, which is kind of part of the fun of Inktober because it's in a traditional medium. I couldn't just undo it, so I had to work with it and try to figure it out. So I went with a kind of goopy spiral thing that you may have gotten shot or something like that, just kind of coming out of her chest there. And again, going off of the fun, bright colors with the highlighters and the blending and her little snake tattoo. It was just so much fun. And her little hair curly. It was a lot of fun to do this piece. Plus, a lot of good practice in my posing. And it also highlights needing to work on my clothing wrinkles and my weaponry. And maybe a little bit of expression work as well. But still really fun, and I loved doing it. Day 9 was heavy. So I am cringe and I am free, and this was the first fan art of the month, since Cringetober was also going along. If you recognize this character, you are a true OG. This character comes from another YouTuber, Puffin Forest, who does a lot of D&D and RPG storytime animations on YouTube. This one in particular comes from a very fun story of him creating a character to mess with his brother called Chadwick Strongpants. And the quote that made me think of doing him for this prompt was, "Who alone can bear the burden of the strong pants?" The fun part about this character is that he is just a normal guy, just a plain old guy, nothing special, nothing unique, no cool powers. He's just a dude, which honestly very much screams siblings messing with each other energy. And it was a lot of fun just to do him in my own style and just having fun with it. Day 10 was Sweep. And I hadn't realized until I posted this one on Cara, also in my portfolio. By the way, I'm on Cara. If you want to follow me there or on BlueSky or Instagram, I am on all those locations across the webiverse, and you can see more art updates. Just a little promotional shout out. But the thing about Cara is that you can do your portfolio, and so it's a separate folder from your timeline. And not all of my Inktober drawings ended up in my portfolio, but this one and Reckless ended up side by side, and I had not realized how similar the pose was until after I posted it. So it turns out I can do one pose very well. This one highlights that I need to work on my backgrounds a little bit more and my perspectives, but I feel like the wonkiness still kind of gives it some of that charm. She's just a kooky little witch trying to do her winter chores before the cold sets in. Next up, we have a little bit of a bug warning, so if you are uncomfortable with some creepy crawlies, you can look away, and I'll let you know when to look back. Day 11 was Sting. So my partner actually grew up in the South and came across a lot of scorpions. And something that I learned from him was that they actually glow under black light. Like, they fluoresce in this very bright neon green, which you would think with highlighters I'd be able to get really well, but I didn't have the correct green, so I ended up blending the yellow and blue together to give it more of that like teal color. It didn't quite turn out, but I still really like how the piece was, even if it was just a quick one. My bug anatomy is not bad for something that I did in like 15 minutes. Next up, we have day 12, shredded. So this is where I really start taking a nosedive and really feeling that Inktober slump and really needing to take a break and kind of tone it back a little bit. So I just have a very, very simple doodle of a little cat guy. But what's this? Oh, he might be tearing up a wanted poster. I'm not quite sure what he did, but he doesn't want people catching on to his crimes. Again, with the spooky crawlies, you may need to take a break from this piece as well. We have day 13, drink. Another quick and simple doodle, something just to get the prompt done and move on. Didn't have a lot of time to complete this one, but I do enjoy the concept. A little bit of a witch's brew, something a little spooky, a little ooky, a little gross. Just kind of trying to meet the spirit of actually being in Halloween season. Not too bad. Again, nothing a whole lot to say about this piece. It is what it is. Moving on, we have trunk. And this also was a relatively quick doodle. You can tell if it was a quick doodle if I just did it in like one color, maybe a highlighter, but mostly the pens. And honestly, for not doing this digitally and doing this traditionally, I am very proud of how my trunk of this vehicle turned out. I was honestly very impressed with myself. I didn't have the symmetry tool, and it's a little wonky, but not too bad, especially because I do not draw vehicles ever. If anybody is curious as to who the fella tied up in the back here, this is my OC Chris from a story that I've been noodling around with. Stay tuned for next month's video. Maybe you'll get a little bit more backstory on him. You know, stay subscribed and all that jam. And as you can see, there is a little bit more ink peeking through. I can throw up the image of what this looked like before the ink peeked through. So next up, a little fair warning, there might be a little bit of body horror in this one. We have day 15. And I am so disappointed that this one got ruined with bleed through because I was so proud of how this piece turned out. Day 15 was ragged. This is my second fan art of the month, and I love this piece. So this handsome devil is from the Malevolent podcast, and if you enjoy spooky, ooky, eldritch horror and random gross noises, don't give you too much issue, I highly, highly recommend this. It is such a wonderful story of companionship. So our main fella here, without giving too much spoilers away, his name is Arthur, and he gets possessed by an entity in his brain and loses his ability to see. You know, a really good format for podcast, which is solely an audio medium. And the entity that is possessing him has control over his eyes and has to explain everything. And it's a very sweet story of eldritch monster learning to be human by walking a mile in their shoes type of situation. Little bit of a spoiler, the entity's name is John, and I love these two. If anybody is curious, my favorite character in the podcast is Yurik, and if you get to know me, you'd understand why. I love that little freak. But again, Absolutely love this piece. I will show what it looked like before the splatters came up. But as the story goes on, you can tell our poor main character kind of has a rough time of it. Day 16 was Blender. How ironic that my Blender piece is what ended up ruining not one, but 2 other Inktober prompts from this month. Thank you, planning. You've done me so well. Regardless, I still had a lot of fun with this piece. Sometimes you just need to do some ink splatters on a page with a beautiful ink and just have fun with it. You know, that was my main goal with Inktober, was to fall in love with art again, to have a lot more fun with it, to not do these super rigid things, but instead go for the joy of creating. And I hope that was what it was for a lot of other people as well. But just with this prop, I have 2 little ghosties and they just want to help you paint your house. Day 17. Would you believe me if I told you that this one was also a quick one? Yeah, me neither. I used to not draw armor a whole lot. However, I am now in a D&D party with a paladin, and if you know anything about paladins, they are heavily armored. So if I want to do little doodles of our party and their misfortunes and their hijinks, I'm going to have to learn to draw armor. And turns out all that progress really helped out with this prompt, as my ornate high fantasy demon king, demon knight helm actually came out relatively fast and smooth. Like, it did not take me much time. Just kind of went with the flow, just added little bits here and there. All done in highlighter, which leads it to be easier to like cover up and just kind of hide things within shadows or extra shapes or blending it out. Either way, it was a lot of fun to do, and I had more fun with it than I thought I was going to. So, you know, draw paladins. They'll help you with your armor studies. So, next one, again, a little forewarning of gore. We have Day 18, Deal. So, at this point, this ended up being my favorite piece. It's not my final favorite piece, but at this point, I loved how this one turned out. Until I realized, so I have one of these drawing gloves. That's kind of what this is supposed to represent, was one of the digital drawing gloves that slips over your hand to protect your screen from your palm. I have it. I put it on to get reference for this drawing, and I still messed it up because the thumb is not covered with those gloves. If you have a glove like that, please send me a picture so I feel validated. But the one that I have does not cover the thumb, and I feel like such a dunce, which is why this is no longer my favorite piece, but I still loved it. Something that was really cool that I didn't notice until I had posted the piece was that the cross-hatching with the pen almost gave the scanning of the bones an X-ray feel, like you were looking at an old school X-ray screen, which I thought was really cool. And as my fellow artists know, you just end up pushing through the pain if you're really in the zone. Please do not do that. This is your reminder. Please, for the love of all things holy, be kind to yourself. If something hurts, please take a break. I know it's hard, but that piece will be back to it. And no art piece, no project is worth losing or severely injuring yourself over. So please, be kind to yourself. Don't make that deal. It's not worth it. Do not take the poor sinner's hand. Alright, rant over. Next piece. We have Day 19, Arctic! Yay! So it was at this point that my partner got Pokemon ZA, the new Pokemon game that came out. Dating this video, shout out, it was Inktober 2025, so you can tell where I'm at this point. But his game finally came in, so as he was playing that, I was listening to the various different things and enjoying all of his little rants and doing artwork on the side. So for this prompt, He asked why I didn't go with one of the better known ice Pokemons that were in the game, and I was like, but this one's so cute. I mean, look at him. He's very friend-shaped. I love him so much, and I am so glad that I chose him, and he was a lot of fun. Body doubling while you and your partner are in hyper-focus mode is peak. Very peak. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. Have them do something, you do something, comment back and forth. Awesome. Very ADHD friendly. Highly recommend. So, next up, we have day 20. Rivals. Again, a quick doodle. Something that didn't take me too long. Something that I didn't super focus on. But you can kind of tell that though I'm not actively learning, I'm not actively studying, being in the habit of drawing every day actually was helping improve my speed and overall design choices. So this was the piece that I kind of really was like, oh, I guess drawing every day is kind of beneficial. I guess that's why everybody says it if you want to get better at art. Do I believe that you need to draw every single day? No. But do I think that you should maybe consider having a consistent pattern where you draw more than you think about drawing? You might see that improvement that you want to see. As for the piece itself, I, again, wanted to draw some armor and get some more practice in my posing with the armor. So I decided to draw my little fur baby, Kimba, against her mortal enemy, the squirrel that sits on our porch and eats the bird feed. It's very funny because she's old and blind and deaf, and yet somehow she still knows when there's a squirrel on the porch, and she will still stand at our door and kind of spoof. She doesn't really bark. She just kind of makes a weird poofing noise. It's very funny. But she's like, hey, let me outside. I know there's a squirrel out there. I know I can get it, even though I am geriatric and cannot see. Oh, my poor baby. I love her very much. It's a very fun piece. We have day 21, Blast. This one I really did not have a lot of time on. I was trying to do these in the morning while my partner was asleep because that was when I had the most amount of free time. But this particular day, I just could not get motivated. I really hit a slump with this one. So this is why it is the least detailed, all of them, with the least amount of effort at this point. But overall, I don't hate it. I also don't love it. But, it's a cute concept. And, all his little immortal friends coming to visit him on his birthday. And I actually made his birthday the day that I did this prompt because I thought it was funny. Double check my math because I don't remember how old I actually made him, but I believe it's normal human years, so. Well, day 22. I absolutely love this piece. This piece right here. This one right here. This piece is my favorite. This is my favorite piece of my entire Inktober. Last year, this year, my favorite piece. It might even be my favorite piece that I've done in the entirety of this sketchbook. I love it so much. I mean, just look at him. Look how cute he is. Did my wrist absolutely kill me? Did I not take my own advice after doing a bajillion buttons? Maybe. But so worth it. So worth it. It was just so cute, and I absolutely love the execution of this costume. The thought was that all of the buttons became the scales of his dragon costume, and I can only feel so sorry for his mom, who hand-stitched all of these buttons on to make him the perfect costume. It was just so cute, and such a wholesome little doodle, and he is my son, and I love him. He is my baby. I am completely normal about this piece. Totally chill. Absolutely love him. Alrighty, day 23. we have Firefly. This, not a crazy, like super totally my own concept. It probably has already been done before. It's not the most insane thing, but it's a Firefly. It's a fire fae, if you will. I just kind of imagine like a whole horde of these just kind of flitzing through, and you kind of look at them and you're like, oh, they're so cute. Oh, the entire forest is on fire. That's not great. And kind of like the concept of like forest fires sometimes being good for an environment to take care of like undergrowth and make the soil more nutritious and various things like that. So, they do their magics. Do not take her hand though. She is definitely the definition of a manic pixie dream girl, and you will get burned. Literally. Next up, we have day 24, Rowdy. And who better to do for Rowdy than the rowdy man himself, Maxwell Gotch, the third fan art of this month from the hit show Dimension 20, specifically their Cloudward Ho campaign that they were on during Inktober. Is Maxwell my favorite character? Not necessarily. But he is very fun, and I do have a soft spot for, like, incredibly uptight, like, takes themselves too seriously characters, and Murph plays him so well. If you ever get the chance to watch any of the Dimension 20 campaigns, I highly recommend them. They're very fun. If you love nerds, just incredibly funny. The gory scene with the propeller, I will not say more because I don't necessarily want YouTube to be mad at me, but that scene is what I thought of when doing this piece. Specifically, the campaign that Maxwell is from is their steampunk campaign. It's very whimsical, very funny, absolutely a good watch. Really, just, what more could I say? It's Dimension 20. It's gonna slap. Don't worry about it. But I think we all could afford to be a little bit more rowdy around here. Such a killer line. Loved that scene. Really fun. Just, ugh. Alrighty. Now we have day 25, Inferno. Well, I've already done a literal fire fae, so what better than a D&D campaign? Remember that paladin I mentioned earlier? Yeah, this is him. This is Colt Billy. He is our paladin level 2, so he doesn't have an oath. And level 5, I believe, is where he's at now. Level 5 barbarian. And then our other party member, Esnia. Neither of these are my characters. These are both played by friends of mine. But this was based off of an interaction that happened very shortly before I got this prompt. And I'm like, oh, this is perfect. So, the classic D&D joke that wizards should just use fireball and only fireball, nothing but fireball. Esme is a sorcerer, and Colt Billy is classic himbo energy, we'll say. And during this fight, Colt very much suggests that now would be the perfect time for a fireball, but our classic sorcerer reminds him that he does not have the fireball spell. He only has firebolt, which does a lot less damage and is a little bit safer. Only a little bit. If you ever get the chance, I highly recommend playing D&D with some friends. It is such a fun game and very collaborative. Most role-playing tabletop RPGs, just really good. A really good time, and I am absolutely loving this campaign. We're going through the Wilds Beyond the Witchlight module, which is a really fun module. I highly recommend that one as well. If you love some Feywild shenanigans. My character in this campaign is Petrichor, and she is a cleric, and her goddess is the Wild Mother, and I'm kind of playing her So she's of the peace domain, but I'm very much playing her with, she is of the natural world of the mortal plane. Very much in tune with that earth, so the Feywild confuses the hell out of her, and she is pissed. She hates the Feywild, she hates being there, she's always confused, and she's very frustrated about it. But it's a lot of fun. And we have a rogue that's played by my partner, who is specifically a swashbuckling rogue, so as you can imagine, all kinds of shenanigans with this party. A lot of fun. Really appreciate our DM and their campaign that they're running. It's been so much fun. Speaking of D&D, we also have... Oh, I messed up the tags. Oh no, I got them confused. Ignore this. Panic. Well, wouldn't you say that was a little puzzling? Just kidding. Day's 26. So, another funny D&D meme that you may have seen floating around the door, that if... Another funny D&D meme that you may have seen floating around the internet is that if you ever want to stump your party or need to buy time for yourself, describe a plain door in front of them. Or describe anything incredibly mundane with incredible detail. Your party will hyper-focus on this door. They will not open it. They will not try to touch it. They will... Because the more detail you add, the more your characters are going to think that it's important. Even if it's really not. So before you is a plain door. Do you open it? Now... On to day 27. Whoa, shocker. It's not like you've seen this before. Whoa, onion. This is what was behind the door. He's just a little guy. I imagine very much pack tactics, kind of horde type thing. Just a whole bunch of these just going after your party. Just, haunting of the evil veggies, so to speak. If you want to use this in your next campaign, absolutely, have at it. I don't have a stat block for him, though, so don't ask. Day 28, the final fan art of Inktober. 28 was skeletal. So I've already done a skull, I've already done a hand. What more could I draw that would really invoke skeletal? And then I remembered that I'm also listening to the Legends of Adventurous podcast, specifically their Edge of Midnight campaign. Need I say more? If I don't, you're an OG. Love the Adventurous team. Very fun. If you are not a fan of gore and horror, this is not the campaign for you. I'd recommend a different one. Specifically from the scene from the Crooked House and Kellen of the Crooked Teeth. Need I say more? The Bergamot scene just really got me. And then I was listening to another one of the episodes a little bit later into the campaign. They're fighting one of the hags. That was not the podcast to listen to while eating dinner. So, really got myself with that one. But, on the other hand, loved how this piece turned out. Really, really loved the details I was able to get with the highlighters. Like, it almost feels like paint. And after almost a full month of my white ink pens not working, I finally was able to get my Papermate one to work so that I could get these teeth to pop out and really shine and be solidly white again. Of course, it's on the goriest one, but, c'est la vie. But yeah, absolutely loved how this piece turned out. Loved the rind, I guess. This is a bergamot. I had to look up what a bergamot even looked like to draw. Lucky for me, they're green, which I could do with my highlighters. The stars aligned. It was perfect. Next up on the docket, the last 3 that I did in a bit of a rush. So all of these were done in one sitting. And we are now at the end of the month. Day 29. Lesson. I understand the concept of this one is horrifying, But the drawing is really cute. Like, I loved doing this one. It was really giving me spooky vibes, and just, I really love how this piece turned out. Even though the implications are horrifying. The concept comes from a dad teaching his son how to shave, but they're pumpkins, and they're doing their faces for the season. Don't think too much. You'll spook yourself. It's we're gonna move on from this one after looking at how cute it was. Okay, next. Day 30, vacant. Again, using that deep black inkwell ink that I was using throughout the month to get a nice smooth swath of black ink to really coat the page without having to scribble 1,000 times with my pen. This is, if anybody has worked in customer service, you know when a customer wants more from you, and there's simply nothing else you can do from your position, and your manager's already gone, and the customer is yelling at you, and you just kind of stand there. Some individuals have taken it to calling it the millennial stare, but you just stand there with your vacant eyes, wondering why you're there, questioning your life choices. His name is insert demon noises here. And though his situation is not fun, he was fun to draw. So there's that. And last, but certainly not least, day 31, the final day. Award. Now, some might say that I should give myself an award for actually completing Inktober, but I didn't complete it on time. So instead, I did a little lineup of all of the things that scare me, and who would have been the spookiest little guy. That's right, it's the passage of time. Reminding me that another month is over and I still don't know what I'm doing with my life, and I definitely missed a deadline. Thanks, little guy. Truly horrifying. Sorry to anybody that I just gave an existential crisis to. It's okay, you're not alone. I promise, I'm okay. I'm in a much better place. So, we've reached the end of Inktober. Was it worth it? For me, personally, yeah, I would say that it was. It was worth it. It may not have been worth it for everybody else, but for me, it was really fun. That was my goal, was to have fun. But also, I got in the habit. I drew almost every single day. I got back into art, which was really therapeutic for me. It was really enjoyable. I started building a community online. It's been fun. And also, I actually got to see myself improve. Not only improve from the last time I did Inktober, but I also improved through this Inktober. There was a significant difference between, my first and my last drawing. My line confidence, my creativity, my willingness to push what the prompt was actually talking about. It was worth it for me. So if you're ever thinking about maybe completing another 30-day challenge, go easy on yourself. Remember, you are human, and your lifestyle may not allow you to draw every day, but I'd still say give it a try. Who knows? Maybe you'll enjoy it. Thank you for joining me in my little pocket of the internet and going through my sketchbook tour with me. I really appreciate you sticking around. If you liked my chaos and want to see more of it, consider maybe dropping a subscribe or a like. Leave a comment. Are you doing Huevember this year? Perhaps a Christmas challenge? Are you going to maybe consider doing another prompt challenge? Did you do Inktober or Cringetober or something last month? How did it go for you? I'm very curious to know. If you want to find me elsewhere across the webiverse, I am on Cara, BlueSky, and Instagram at the following handles. And if you made it all the way to the end of this crazy wacky video, I do apologize. It's been a long one, but you get a gold star.